I'm Michael McDonnell, and I am the Cybersecurity Librarian. This video is a tour of LinkedIn Premium. Recently, I was on a job hunt, and for a long time I got no traction. It became a dark and frustrating job hunt. I ended up subscribing to LinkedIn Premium, and it actually made a difference. Now here's the thing. In years gone by, I had done a trial of LinkedIn Premium and didn't really find that it was worth my money. But during this job hunt, things changed. I ended up being more proactive in how I pursued new work, and the features of LinkedIn Premium became more valuable. I think in my previous trials, I didn't understand how these features were intended to be used. At the same time, many of these features just didn't add value. And I think if I were on a job hunt today, I may or may not find it worth the $35 a month. And I'm hoping by giving you this tour, you'll be able to decide whether LinkedIn Premium will be worth it for you. Now, the first thing that's going to happen when you subscribe to LinkedIn Premium is you're going to get this link by your profile that says Access My Premium, and it takes you to a page that has a summary of all the benefits you get from LinkedIn Premium. If you look over on the right-hand side, you'll see a list of each of the benefits you get. Let me describe those one by one. So the first benefit of LinkedIn Premium is InMail. By default, a LinkedIn member can only contact a member that they're connected to. If you're not connected to someone, you can't message them. With InMail, however, you can send a message to anyone else on LinkedIn, and it'll give you a status saying whether they've read it or not, or replied or not. I found this useful in my job hunt because I became more proactive, and I started to reach out to people that I thought might be part of the hiring process, or people I knew at the company that I had worked with before or I had met but I wasn't connected to, and I would send them an InMail saying, hey, I've applied for this job. Do you remember me? We met at a conference. Is there any insight you can offer? Or in some cases, I reached out and said, hey, I applied for this job 2 months ago. Have you actually filled the position? Because I see it's still posted 2 months later. The second feature is the who's viewed your profile. Now let me be honest. The previous times I've trialed LinkedIn Premium, the only thing I wanted was to see who had viewed my profile. During my job hunt, at first this didn't seem that useful. But eventually, when I started to do things that were purposely there to get my profile noticed, the feature did actually help me. Now let me show you how this works. So by default, all you're going to see is the last 2 or 3 people who viewed your profile. And you know, under normal circumstances, you don't see that many people looking you up. So it really doesn't help you. But during a job hunt, if you're doing the right things, a lot of people are going to be looking at your profile. Now, I thought the way this would work would be that I would look at my profile and see that a recruiter had looked at me, and then I would immediately use my InMail to message them and say, hey, I saw that you were interested. I'm looking for work. Let's talk. And you know what? That never happened. What did happen was that I used this chart at the top, and I realized that for the first few months of my job hunt, I really wasn't getting any attention. And this was an indicator to me that I wasn't being proactive enough, and I wasn't doing the right things to get noticed. And you can see in my graph that at a certain point, all of a sudden, I started to get noticed. 58 views in a week. Woohoo! This was a rough indicator to me that the actions I was taking were finally being successful. And it made me really reconsider what was effective in my job hunt and what was not. And trust me, I felt I was working very hard for all of those months. Now, once I reached that peak, I had so many people in a week looking at my profile, it was actually very helpful to go back and find out who those people were. Were they just curious people who saw my posts, or were they potential employers looking that I should reach out to? The third feature is something called Job Insights. And this is something that I found interesting, but not that helpful. And let me give you an example. If you have Premium and you look at the jobs page, you're going to see a list of jobs, but there'll be a little notice that says you're in the top 50% of applicants, you're in the top 25%. And for some of these, it might even say you're in the top 10% of all applicants. And when you look at the job ad, they're going to give you a breakdown of why they think you're in the top 10%. This is misleading. At one point, I took the job title in my profile and I changed it from Director of Security Services to Managing Consultant. Both of these titles are accurate descriptions of the role I filled. However, the minute I took Director out of my title, this dropped from 10% to 25% on several jobs. You should not be discouraged by what you see in these Premium insights. Instead, use it as a rough guide for jobs that you're aligned with. One of the ways in which the Job Insights feature is useful is if you go back and look at the kinds of skills that other candidates applying for the job have. Again, you shouldn't use this to be discouraged from applying for the job, but instead, during this period of time when you're looking for a job, you're probably trying to upskill, you're probably taking courses, and you can use these job insights to help you decide, well, where should I train? So for instance, during my search, I took courses in DevOps and in data science. I took all sorts of courses, and part of my choices were made by looking at the top skills of jobs that I wanted to be a candidate for. One of the things I would draw attention to is you'll see in the Job Insights, it'll say, other people who applied for this job, 30% of them had a master's degree. Is this helpful to you? One of the things you have to realize is that, for instance, here in Calgary, many of the job applicants might not be eligible to actually work in Canada, and it doesn't matter if there's 100 of them with master's degrees. Because they're not qualified to work here, that means that these numbers aren't really accurate and they don't tell you a lot. So I found this feature to be not so useful because it provided more discouragement than encouragement. The next feature is the featured applicant status, and this really looks like that's what you're paying your money for. So the idea behind featured applicant is that when you apply for a job, that you will be at the top of the list at that company when they look at all the people who apply. Now, there's one little catch. That requires the job that you're applying for to use LinkedIn as the application system, like this. If I apply for this job, it'll actually use my LinkedIn profile, submit all the information, and save me the hassle of submitting a separate resume, which seems really, really good. But if we go back and we look at other jobs, bad example. If we see a job that has this regular apply button, well, this doesn't work with the featured applicant system. If we click this, it's going to take us to an external site, and featured applicant doesn't do you any good. The next feature is actually the one that is worth your money, and that's LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is LinkedIn's online training and course system, and it is free when you have a subscription. There are hundreds upon hundreds of courses that can be accessed in the top right under this Learning button. I have taken over 40 of these courses, and they are high quality. I actually find it addictive to take their courses. They vary anywhere from, say, half an hour to 4 hours long. Some of them are bundled together in what they call a career path, where you could take a series of them that amount to about a whole week's worth of learning. The courses are really up to date. They're in topics from everything from graphic design to programming to business management skills. I took courses in DevOps, in data science, in Python programming. I took management courses, and most importantly, I took a series of courses on how to look for a job, how to update my resume, how to write a cover letter, and how to interview. And those courses were worth every penny. Let me add one caveat. It's worth the $35 a month during your job hunt to have LinkedIn Learning, but you may already have access to it for free. I live in Calgary, and our public library invests heavily in online resources, and that includes courses. They subscribe to lynda.com, which is the old name for LinkedIn Learning. As a Calgarian, we already have free access through our public library. And I've been using these courses long before I subscribed to LinkedIn Learning. If you live in a city where your library has not invested in lynda.com, then definitely invest in LinkedIn Premium, which gives you LinkedIn Learning. There's no question in my mind. The next feature is Open Profile. In fact, this should be the first feature. Open Profile is simply a checkbox that lets you signal to other LinkedIn members, including recruiters, that you are looking for work. And the way this works is once you turn that slider on, if you go to your profile page, you're going to now have this box that says that you are open to opportunities. Now you can configure this feature to list up to 5 job titles that are the kind of job you're looking for. You can specify a location, the places that you might be willing to work, or just simply not specify that and say you're willing to work anywhere. And you can specify the terms you want. Are you looking for contract work, full-time work, remote work, temporary work, all of the above? And then finally, you can decide if this is going to be shown to everyone who looks at your profile or just to recruiters. Now, if you're out of work and you're looking, you probably want to let every single person know. so that your friends, your colleagues know you're looking for work. But if you're currently employed and you don't want to see that if you're currently employed and you don't want your boss to see that you're looking for work, you might want to say recruiters only. Now keep in mind that what they mean by recruiter is someone who's subscribed to LinkedIn Premium for recruiters. There are recruiters out there, far too many of them, who do not invest in LinkedIn Premium, and they wouldn't see this notice. So in my opinion, if you're hunting for a job, just mark it open for all members. There is a side effect of this that is related to the InMail feature that is very important and makes the subscription worth it. If you mark yourself as open to opportunities, it means that anyone can send you a message even if they're not connected with you. Part of your subscription allows you to have InMail, and it doesn't just let you send messages to people you're not connected to. It lets people you're not connected to send to you. I've encountered a few recruiters who didn't have InMail ability and were sending me connection invites with no message. Who does that? I mean, come on. But it happens, and this feature allows them to send you a message. And when you're hunting for a job, you really would like everyone to be able to contact you if they're interested in you. Now, the final feature is called Resume Builder. And I think it has some promise, but honestly, it didn't really do much for me. I did use it, and eventually I stopped using it. Let me show you what this does. So you've already entered in all your career history, your education, your certifications, your volunteer experience. You've entered that all into LinkedIn. Why should you have to do that again? Well, with this, it lets you say, well, let's create a new resume. And it takes everything that's in your profile and it builds you a nicely formatted resume. And you'll see these little pencils. For every single section, I can say, well, you know what? I want to delete it. Won't delete it from your profile, just from this resume. So I could make a short version that's only got my last 10 years of experience. I could take my expired certifications off the list, etc. And then if you preview what the resume looks like, it looks pretty good. In fact, when I was using this, it actually had a different format. And when I started my job hunt, I was really a bit panicky and I was rushed and I hadn't updated my resume, so I just used this. And that gave me a PDF that I could attach in job applications. It also saves them so that when you apply for a job that does use LinkedIn as its recruitment platform, you can simply say, yeah, use this resume. And you should have a customized resume for different types of jobs you're applying for. For me, I have a different resume to apply for security architecture jobs versus security operations jobs. You could use this feature and it might be helpful, but my honest opinion is take the LinkedIn learning courses on how to update your resume. They're very good. Follow their advice and then customize your resume. Each and every job you apply to, it's worth the effort. If you do panic like me, you could use this. Or if you suddenly get contacted by a recruiter, you could decide, oh my God, I need a resume right now. You could send them one of these. So that is it for my tour of LinkedIn Premium. I'm sure I've missed a few features. Ultimately, I found it was worth it because I took a more proactive stance. I used the InMails to contact people. I heavily leveraged LinkedIn Learning to take courses on how to do better job hunts, how to improve my skills. And I used some of the other features in minor ways that I could have done without, but frankly, it was worth having since I was already paying for it. Your choice as to whether you want LinkedIn Premium is going to depend on whether you've already got access to lynda.com and whether you're going to be proactive. My advice is be proactive. The money is worth it. Open your profile and use those InMails. I wish you the best of luck. If you have questions, comment below. If you like this video, I've got a whole series. Subscribe to this channel to get more. And on Friday nights, my friend Morrow and I, we do a series of live streams. Recently, those have all been about job hunting. Go and look at the recorded ones and come to the next one for good advice. Thank you. I'm Michael McDonnell, and I am the Cybersecurity Librarian.